everybody. Welcome on board. This is the final ride for Indic Film Utsav 2021. We had a phenomenal festival, to say the least. Just a quick summary of the wins that we had this year. First, I think programming team hit the ball out of the ballpark. Second, we had close to about 80,000 views, 85,000 or something around that. I checked this morning, I can't remember the number right now, but around that, which is significant. Then, of course, the eminent panel, of jurors. We are waiting for Renata to join. Ravi Gupta ji cannot join because he has an engagement, as he had mentioned to us yesterday. So, welcome on board to this jury board panel discussion and announcement of winners. So we're going to announce the winners of films that the jurors have picked as the best films in each of those categories, like best feature, best documentary, best short, and best ultra short. And we may have a couple of special mentions, just to surprise everybody. And then, of course, we also go to announce our Audience Choice Awards, which were result of poll that we had on every single film. And people had a simple question: did you like the film? Yes or no? And all those that selected yes, we counted that, and we have a list of Audience Choice winners, which I am pleased to say was so much aligned with what I hoped it would be. So more information as we go along. I want to do a quick round of introductions, and then we can get started. The format will be that the initial 20 minutes or 25 minutes or maybe 30 minutes, we'll talk about what our experiences with the films that we saw, both the jurors as well as the programming team, as well as the team, the rest of the team members from Indic Film Utsav. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, the last 10-15 minutes we'll dedicate to announcing the winners. And then we'll close the meeting after that. So I'm Danji Totapalli. I am the Chief Curator, Festival Director of Indic Film Utsav. Indic Film Utsav is a flagship event of Indica Pictures. And Indica Pictures is one of the platforms of the umbrella organization called Indica, which is focused on highlighting and bringing to the forefront the stories of our civilizational past. With that, I will introduce Nikita Hartangadi, who's our head of programming. And what I'll do is I'll turn it over to Nikita, and you can introduce yourself, and then we'll do Christian, then we'll do Sumit, and then we'll go over to the jurors.
Namaste, I'm Nikita Hartangadi, and as Danji said, I'm head of programming. And it's been such a pleasure to watch so many wonderful new filmmakers, because Indica Pictures is not just about showcasing films, but we're also advocates for new filmmakers, so that we can provide them a platform. And this has been, again, the second year has been just as much fun as the first year. So I'm going to hand it over to Christian Frost, who is our filmmaker liaison.
Thanks, Nikita. Yeah, no, I'm very privileged to be able to be a part of this event. This is our second year, so it's been great to see the amount of interest, especially in the various topics, and filmmakers have been submitting their films. Just so everyone knows, we have a great team that puts in a lot of hard work, a lot of behind the scenes, and I just want to thank them all, myself, Sumit, Nikita, Danji, and everybody else on the Indica Picture side. I really wanted to thank all of them for all their heavy lifting and all that they do. It takes a lot of work to pull something like this off behind our fearless leader, Danji, who's just got a great spirit and great enthusiasm, and we couldn't do it without him. But saying that, the films I've watched, I really enjoyed them. I had the opportunity to sit down with my granddaughter and watch a couple of them, even though they had English subtitles. She can't read because she's pretty young, but she was very enthralled with some of them, just from the visual standpoint and the music standpoint. So that was really fun to see her reactions and get a little taste of some Indic vibes going on, which was a lot of fun for her. But yep, I was the filmmaker liaison for this year, and I was able to interact with a lot of filmmakers from the beginning of sending out submissions and all the little hiccups and bumps that go along the way. And I just wanted to thank all the filmmakers for all of their help and communications. Everyone was really great, very friendly, and just had a wonderful experience. So I want to thank everybody. And with that, I'll turn it over to Sumit.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Christian. I am Sumit Burwankar. I am the head of operations at Indica Pictures. This is our second year of Indic Film Utsav. And just as first year, as Danji had said, Nikita and Christian had said, the amount of films, the quality of films that we have been getting is phenomenal. Second year, I believe has the quality of movies that have been submitted has improved from the first year. We are seeing much more quality of films coming. We are seeing a lot of depth in character development in this year's films that we got. And we have also received, just like last year, we also received a lot of films from the eastern part of India, from Arunachal Pradesh and Manipur, which is staggering. And I just love watching movies from that area where the local becomes the character of the movie. So there's some short films, some ultra shorts made in Manipur, which are like really phenomenal. Just the way of beautiful storytelling, very simple, very artistically done. So this year, as always, as like last year, has been really great to work on this awesome team, and I look forward for many more years of Indic Film Utsav.
Thank you, team. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And so I turn it over to Pradeep and Kirit. Unfortunately, it looks like without Renata, Raviji, of course, let us know, give us a heads up, but Renata is not here. So therefore, looks like you guys have to do the heavy lifting, which I'm sure, you will be fine doing, So I'd like to, invite Kirit and then of course, Pradeep, both of you to introduce yourself. You're on mute, Kirit. Sorry.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kirit Khurana. I'm a filmmaker, and I have the privilege of being part of the jury. My film, Atifa Taj Mahal, had won last year at this wonderful, beautiful festival called Indic Film Utsav. And I would like to really commend Danji and his team, Nikita, Sumit, and everybody putting such a beautiful thing together, because it's important that we encourage Indian culture. We talk about Indian films and, showcasing Indian work. And I think there are very few platforms across the world that actually have, showing Indian films in the manner in which Indic Film Utsav is actually showing these films. So I'd like to really commend the team, even Christian, sorry, I forgot Christian. A wonderful job. I know what it takes to run a festival because I've run a few festivals before, I've curated a few festivals before. So I know it's a tremendous amount of effort, and I'd like to applaud all of you for doing that selfless service.
Oh, thank you, Danji. Hello, everyone. My name is Pradeep Paga, and I'm a filmmaker out in Chicago right now. But I'm very honored to be part of this film festival, Indica Film Festival. And this is the second year they call me as a jury on this one. I'm really, really honored for that. And thanks to this wonderful team, Danji, and everyone here on this one who did a lot of big work on this one. That being said, our job is very small compared to what they have done. Our job is just go through the festival, go through the films which are already finalists, and we talk about that. So, and also I'm very happy to say that even though I'm a filmmaker, I've been living in the US for almost 20 years. I never left India. I've been making movies in India and also US. I'm very fortunate for that too. And this festival is teaching me a lot of information. I mean, it's a great resource of data which India can provide. And one thing I mentioned over and over about this festival, that the whole festival is the core of a positivity, which is I really like it. All the movies, all the including the shorts, ultra shorts, documentaries, and the films, has given us a good positive vibes, and you learn a lot about India, which we are forgetting recently, I have to say. I mean, this is a great way the youngsters can learn from all these festivals. And needlessly to say that this is the only festival actually I have seen that which give you the entire positivity of the festival of the films and everything here too. So I think I said a lot. Thank you so much, Danji. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Pradeep, and thank you everybody. And so let me just open it up by just chatting about. We talk about the films that we liked, right? So I watched. I couldn't obviously watch all of them, but I watched a few. I mean, I watched all of them, bits and pieces, but few I watched like end to end. And I think, I was amazed at. I mean, I'll just take a few films that I really liked. Tufan Meg, right? Tufan Meg, it's such a, it really grabbed me, it was an independent film, right? It had the independent film DNA because it was low budget, it had unknown actors. I think the lead actress was maybe a little bit known, but the rest of them were pretty much unknown. But every single scene was required in the film. There wasn't a single scene in the film that you could say, hey, not needed. This was not needed. And the story was interesting, and the changes they made to the actual historical story were very interesting.
Well, one of the things that I like about all the films that were submitted is when we watch mainstream films, they're very glamorous. And if you travel through India, that glamour is there in bits and pieces. But most of the country, there's so much simplicity. And these films brought that out. If you really want to know India, these films have brought out what real India is. So I really like that. And again, because Indic Film Utsav is a platform that for new filmmakers, even if your production value wasn't the highest, but you had a story which was compelling, or you had a character that's compelling, or you had some element that touched the viewers' hearts, then we took it as part of this festival. So, I mean, I loved all the films. One of my favorites was You Changed Me. It's such a simple story with a taxi driver and how one of his clients changes him from being somebody who's, in an unhappy mood all the time to just a big smiley face. I mean, I loved all the films, but what I did like is that we were able to choose films from different parts of India, 17 different languages, all different levels of production value. And as Sumit had said, some of the village people became the actors in films. And so I just think if you want to see the essence of India, these are the films that you should watch.
Thank you, Nikita. Yeah, Christian, Sumit, you guys want to jump in with a couple of favorites that you loved, absolutely loved?
Sure. I mean, I've said this before, but when I watch a lot of these films, there's some, and I'm in the fantasy world, but you see these and you're like, I want to go make something, and all these like ideas pop in your head because you're like, hey, if these guys can do this, maybe I can go do that. And that's the nativity of being a filmmaker, is that initial passion gets you onto the road, but then there's a lot of hard work after that. It's not as glamorous, it's not as easygoing, and there's a lot of thought that goes into it. But I find myself after watching each of these films, I'm like, wow, that was great story. Like you talked about, Nikita, it's simple. You see the technical aspects, and it's, you really see a variety of where people are at in terms of their experience levels. But the important thing is that it still gets across the message that they're trying to provide to us or share with us, their experience. And so I find myself just smiling and just, all these ideas going off in my head. And it's really frustrating because when I go to sleep, it's like these things are just going off and I can't sleep. And, and that's a good thing. And it's frustrating at the same time. So I'll just call out one simple film that I like, which was 440 Volt Smile. Just a simple film, but I went away just smiling, and it connected with me just because my son has braces and he has some braces in his smile, and so it was just a simple film, and it got the message across, and so that's one of the ones that I just want to call out that I watched and I enjoyed. So yeah, Samir, how about you?
Yep. I agree with you, Christian, Danji, and Nikita. I think we have a very small sample set here, right? I mean, there are like thousands of movies being made in India on a daily basis, on a yearly basis, and coming from every part of the world. Some of them get releases, most of them do not get a release. But platforms like these, independent film festivals, Indic film festivals, we kind of give an opportunity to showcase these films and to reach out to a broader audience who are seeking out for films of this kind. So within that sample set, there are films that are being made really well. I mean, I understand that many of them do not have a lavish budget to go out and make out the kind of vision that they have, but then they are stepping out still within their constraints and making out beautiful movies. When you are trying to make these beautiful movies with a constraint, what comes out is a core human emotion. That core human emotion in these independent films, in these Indic films that we showcase this year, is the essence of the movie. It's what the movie is being driven with, and that is not compromised in any of the films that have been shown. No, that core human emotion is not compromised. What may have been compromised is a budget. What may have been compromised is the amount of lavishness that could have been shown there. But the core human emotion, the storytelling, the values of the characters within the films, of where they belong to, where they are trying to reach within that story graph, is just amazing. Having said that, a couple of films that I really loved, and I'm really partial towards the Eastern Indian films that come out. So I really loved Thoibi. It takes around 2 to 3 minutes for the character to just get his bike. He's riding a bicycle over the hills. He comes down and sits in his chopaha for about. It takes him 2 or 3 minutes. But within those 2 or 3 minutes, that milieu, that location is set, and it becomes a character for you. It's so beautiful. I mean, there is nothing spoken for those 3 to 4 minutes while he's riding a bike, but that sets up the whole movie. That sets up the emotion that is going to follow. That the film is trying to represent. So Thoibi is one of my favorites. Tufan Mail, as Danji said, is beautiful. I mean, there's so much to take away from Tufan Mail, right? It's a small budget movie. Actor, director, producer, everyone is the same person. They're trying to make ends meet. It's the beauty of it is in simplicity. So I love that, and we should really encourage filmmakers of that kind, so that they can go pursue their talent out there. We should be showcasing these kind of film festivals. I'm really glad, Nikita, and your team to choosing this film to be part of the final list. So these are my 2 films that I really loved.
Wonderful. So, I mean, I just wanted to also, we'll have a conversation. We have time. By the way, Renata just got in touch. There was a little confusion regarding time, so she's joining in a few minutes. So we'll have her. But before I go to our jurors, I wanted to also share another film that I loved. And, in spite of being festival director, I didn't get to pull any strings to get it into the final list. But Kannor, the film called Kannor, I think all of us should watch it if you have time. I mean, we still have several hours before the festival ends. We will close the festival midnight of November 14th US time, which is the whole night for you guys in India, right? So Kannor is a beautiful film. I loved it. I loved. Hi, Renata.
Hi, everybody. I'm
Hello.
sorry.
No problem.
Hello, welcome.
Yeah, absolutely no issues. No problem at all. We were just chatting about films in general. We still haven't gotten into the section where we're going to announce the winners, but we're still having conversations around, and I just was talking about one film that I liked a lot, and then I'll introduce you. Then, I want yourself, Kirit and Pradeep, to talk about your experience with the film festival. So I was talking about a film called Kannor, and it's about a young boy in his teens who lives in this little village in Himachal Pradesh, a small little village in the mountains. And modernization is happening around, westernization is happening, but there are no jobs, so he has to go to this little small other town where he goes and works in a little restaurant kind of a thing, which is run by a lady, for tourists. And his whole thing is, the movie is about the contrast between what are the pros and cons of living in the village and having to not have the opportunities, and the other is going to this town but may have an opportunity, but is that the kind of life you want to have, right? And all this through the eyes of a teenager, who still hasn't seen life as one would as adults. I thought it was beautifully made, and the ending, it ends with a stare. The boy stares into the camera, and that stare says a lot. So I recommend that film to everybody. We should watch it. It's a great film. I think the director's name is Gurvinder Singh. Gurvinder Singh is, I've never seen his films before. I think this may be his debut, but it's an excellent film. I think.
And cinematography is very good in that movie too.
Yeah.
The scenes are beautiful.
Very, very well made. Very well, the camera angles and the kid himself, the boy, what a wonderful actor. I think he has a future. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So Renata, we have Renata on the Zoom session that we're having right now. Renata is another juror from the jury board for this year. Renata, I'll turn it over to you to introduce yourself. And
Yeah, well, thanks very much for having me here, and also for having me on the panel. I feel very honored because I feel the Indica Film Festival is such a beautiful festival. And my name is Renata Keller. I'm a filmmaker, independent filmmaker. Currently, I'm working out of Switzerland, half also still a little bit out of Berlin. And I met Danji through my last film that I did, In the Fire of Dancing Stillness, about Vimala Thakkar, who's an Indian mystic and philosopher. And so that's me. And I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. I really confused the timing. I thought I was really having it. I just threw a visitor out of my house and said I have to get ready. And obviously I got it wrong.
I know, with the global world that time zones that we live in, it's so confusing, right? What is 8:30 p.m. IST in Berlin or Switzerland? It's tough to get that, even for someone who's lived in the US and I've done this day in, day out, still sometimes I get very confused. And But thank you for joining. So I'd now like to have the jurors talk about their experiences. And Pradeep, you want to go first?
Sure, if you want me to. Thanks, Danji. And like we were mentioning about this festival, is like it's very difficult for me to rate this finalists here in the film festival, because they are way beyond my expectations. They are done really exceptionally great, and every picture, I went through the ultra shots and also the documentaries, and it's a very challenging fact to determine which one can go to the final, the winner and everything too. But I want to say one thing about this. This saying always comes into my mind. The great Alfred Hitchcock once told everybody that there are three things are important for a filmmaking. Number one is the script, number two is the script, and number three is the script. So basically, script is the main essence of the entire movie, which is the idea of making a film in a sense. The reason he said that was, it is a great saying, always tell the new filmmaker too, because if you are a great director, you can drive your team. if you are a good actor, you act. Everybody do their own jobs, but nothing can be done on the platform of the script. And that being said, all these movies has a great ideas. Everything has a phenomenally different ideas. And so what I want to do is I just want to go over the finals. Finals, instead of telling you my own thing, I just want to give you one sentence on every movie in the documentary section, which I feel like everything is done really well. I mean, I can see the pain of every filmmaker behind that, which is basically the greatness of this entire film too.
Pradeep, can I interrupt?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I know you want to do it in a certain way, but can you just pick just a couple?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's not. I don't want to go through the list because I just want to. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I will talk about the ones I've seen a lot too. So I would definitely like this one of the movie called Ghar Ka Pata. The reason I like this movie is because it is not about the entire political structure, what's happening in India, but it's about the family, what they had happened to them in the past. And she made like a very, very low budget, low cost, and a very personal kind of a message, which is you don't see it very many times. So I really like that movie. I really like the documentary very well, and I also like the Bunchu, the drops of eternal life, because this is, oh boy, there's a lot of information on that. I mean, it's a great resource of everything, the data which throw it to me about India, and also how the water and everything, eternal life. My grandparents told me a long time ago, and I think this movie has explained me a lot recently too. I really enjoyed those movies too, along with the other ones, this documentary section. Back to you, Danji.
Cool. Yeah, Kirit, Renata, you guys want to talk about a couple of films that stood out for you?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go. Or do you want to go, Renata?
I can go. You were wondering about the feature films, right, Anji?
Anything that you saw.
Oh, anything that I saw.
It doesn't have to be from the jury selection, but it can be any other film that you saw outside of what you evaluated, right?
Yeah. In a bit like what Pradeep was saying, I actually loved every single film I've seen. I don't feel like there was any film that I felt that was strange and one of the films that it's always like with films that they somehow stay with you and you don't forget. One of them is definitely Taj Mahal, that I still see the face of the goat and the boy, and the whole story around it is very, very moving. And also it's because it's a whole story about going beyond tradition, going beyond the social structures into just love between a human being and an animal. And I say that's also, I hope I'm saying it right in the Indian way. I also felt that was such a complex film done with a lot of humor about how Indian society is changing and what, the next generation being modern and the old lady finding her freedom. I really, really enjoyed that too. And there's some of the short films also that the one that's going to stay with me is The Lamb. Chimandi. Even though it was, the production was a little bit very low budget, I would say, it was just such a sweet message and such a powerful message too.
I agree.
So that's what's coming to my mind. I mean, I think I could talk about all the other ones, also the documentary on what's the one, The Wall, the
Wise Walls of Sar.
Yeah, that also, I mean, I've recommended that to a lot of my friends as well. So, but as I said, it was very hard to be on the jury because I think every film was just excellent.
Thank you so much. Great.
Yes. So I will refrain from singling out a few films because I think those are the ones that have won the awards. But I would like to comment on the films that we had, and particularly in the documentary section, it was very heartening to see that 4 out of the 5 films were on the theme of anthropology, which is recreation of the culture. This is a kind of a documentation of the culture that is fast disappearing. You can see a lot of that happening in Bungchu as well. The Tibetan culture that we're talking about, the wise walls of Sar, where people have abandoned the villages and what their culture was all about. So there was an attempt to kind of at least document and perhaps even restore the culture. And that was sticking out even where the mass speaks the mind, even that film, or the lost art of seasoning. Now, these 4 films out of 5 were actually on the anthropology space. And anthropological films are in that sense special because they are, you document them for posterity and they stay with us for a longer time. And so it's good to see that these kind of films were being made, and of course they take a lot of effort and time, and each one of these films are really good from a perspective that obviously it takes a lot of effort to make any film. So even if it's a film that is short, even if it's a short film or a documentaries per se take a lot of time. So I think it's very commendable. Among the short films, of course, I felt that there was a lot of quirky stuff as well, and there was a lot of interesting stuff as well, and some really good controlling ideas. Like Chimney was a great controlling idea as well, and I thought it was lighthearted. It was humorous at times, and it was quite with the surprise reveal in the end as well. So those films by themselves also stood out quite a bit for me. So that's been my experience. I hope we did our best in terms of, it's always a personal prejudice which comes into play, but I hope we did our best in trying to be as less prejudiced about it and being as objective as possible for the awards.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kirit. So we're going to take a quick 30 seconds and then share the link to this live video, which I think in the chat box, I presume it's there. Sumit.
There was one film that I missed mentioning. It is, as Kirit was mentioning about documenting a certain part of a culture or certain part of what's going on for posterity, which is what most of the filmmaking is all about, because it talks about the times and all. There was one movie, I can't recollect the name of that, but it was about these 2 fishermen who are saving lives of people who are committing suicides.
Lifesaver.
And Lifesaver, yes. And they have already saved somewhere around, if I count them, around 30 plus 40, some 70 or 80 lives altogether of people who are committing suicide just in Mumbai. So even though the film, the making in itself was not a documentary style, or it was not a feature film or a short film kind of a making, but for documenting these real life heroes in our world around us is a very important step taken by the filmmaker of doing that. So I would love everyone to watch that movie. It was very heartwarming to see this kind of character saving lives, putting their lives at risks.
It was very, very inspiring. I think that's, and just the fact that they are doing this was one of the main reasons why the film was chosen to be in the festival, because we want people across the country and the world to take inspiration from this and continue this.
Yeah,
and also, Danji, sorry, Danji, I want to talk about one film I forgot earlier too, The Hidden Shoes. The Hidden Shoes in the ultra shots. I just want to say about that movie too. I feel like it is not a direct filmmaking, but it's indirectly they've shown what's happening on the other side about the cricket. So basically, India is like, if anything comes as a cricket, we love to watch cricket immediately, right? But instead of this, these 2 boys, one is on the top of the wall, and he gives his own commentary of what's going on the other side while the movie is happening on a simple movie, very simple movie. It is nothing great in terms of that, but yet goes to the idea of a good concept and a predictable ending, but it's really good the way it was done. Simple movie. I just want to note it out, that movie one more time.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I think we're just about coming up for announcements of the winners and the special mentions and the Audience Choice Awards for Indic Film Utsav 2021. And I wanted to just share a quick 30 seconds here in terms of why did we choose to do this, right? This Indic Film Utsav, and the reason why we kind of stick to films with a positive kind of ending. By the way, two, three bullet items there. One is each festival, in my experience, I worked at a lot of festivals, have a program, have a focus, right? There are Greek festival would focus on Greek films, right? So there are LGBT film festivals, there are all kinds of horizontal, vertical. The cube is full of a variety of films. So we chose that we will do Indic films that have a positive ending. That's our product, the product that we are offering, right? Now, if you really watch all the films, not all of them are like happy ending kind of films, right? They are tough films. And some of them don't give you that answer that you're looking for. So it's a deliberate choice. And so that's very important. And we wanted to just make sure we communicate that because, we chose this space in the demo, in the whole, when you look at it from marketing point of view, we chose this as a space that we like to function in. And we feel there is a demographic for it that likes to watch that kind of film. So those are the people who watch these films. And but at the same time, we're not pulling any punches. We are not making it like a milk and chocolate kind of situation. They're hard films. But at least at the end of it, you want to feel a little bit good that there is humanity left in the world, right? That's the important part. So with that, I think we are the most important segment of the festival, which is the announcement of the winner. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask our jurors to announce the winners. Okay. So first we'll go about announcing the winners in each category. And Ravi Gupta was unable to join us. So I'm going to ask Renata to do the features and Pradeep to do the documentaries. And Kirit, you can do both shorts and ultra shorts, both those categories. But obviously, since you evaluated a couple of categories each, you can talk about other films also, no problem. But that's what we would like to do, if that's okay with you. Okay. So with that, I turn it over to Renata.
So right. So as we talked already yesterday also about the films, and because I think we realized that so many films are so good, it was a tough choice. But the winner then is Taj Mahal, the beautiful story about the boy.
Wow.
So congratulations to everyone, to the director, the producer, and everyone who's been involved, and the actors and actresses. So
Taj Mahal, it's a great
Taj Mahal.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great film. I think Christian, I think the filmmaker would be really delighted, right? Because especially the fact that initially we had some confusion regarding when the film was made. So that's amazing.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to be very, very happy, very happy. He deserves it for sure. Great job.
I'm sure. So go ahead, Renata. Do you want to say anything about the film? What did you feel about it, and anything you want to share in terms of your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I actually mentioned it before, but I think one specific thing that really touched me was because of the ones of you who've seen it, was this beautiful story how this boy falls in love with a goat inside a family that's really struggling and is going through a lot of hardship. And the big belief is that if this goat is going to be sacrificed, the family is going to have a better life. So, I mean, for those of you who've not seen the film, I'm not going to give away the punchline, but maybe I will actually, because what really struck me was the change of the butcher's heart, and that gives so much hope in this time and age of someone who you would never think that he would actually change his mind of not of butchering this goat. Then really, gives actually a very, very dharmic talk at the end about what real sacrifice is about. That's just, I also have to say that the film was to watch it was, I felt it was very painful in the beginning because there was so much struggle, so much hardship. And then things start to change and, this goat appears and you realize there's a bit of a release. But in terms of the tension that it created in the audience, I felt was very well done. It's one I've watched very few films where you actually almost feel like you either want to leave the cinema or you want to turn off the film, and you decide to stay and you feel it's worth staying because you realize that there's such a beauty to the story. So
wonderful, wonderful. So let's stay with features, and we have a surprise, special mention, and I will request Nikita to announce a special mention and also talk a little bit about the film.
So the special mention for features, and Renata, I know you're going to be happy about this, is Esehi.
Wow, that's great.
So yeah, it's a lovely film about an elderly lady who has become a widow and her struggles and how she empowers herself against all of these difficulties of society and family, and just decides to live her life on her own terms. So we're very, very pleased to be able to offer it a special mention.
Wonderful. So Renata, what do you think?
Well, I'm very happy about it. I mean, as a kind of a Westerner having a perspective on Indian life, I felt like I learned so much also, and I mean, anyway, I think it's also really the emancipation of a woman really finding her own voice and her own heart against all the struggles. And I do have to say, now that we're talking about it, because all the other feature films, I just want to mention it again, like Toff and Mal, and they've been such amazing films also. So, as we talked before, it was a very tough choice to choose the winners. I think all of them have been winners in some way.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. In fact, they were almost all categories. We had such close ties, right? It almost just like a 1 point difference between the winner and the second film. So with that, let's go over to Pradeep. Documentaries.
Thank you, Danji. Thank you, everyone. Documentaries, the winner is Wise Walls of Sar.
Wow, that's a great film.
Congratulations to the filmmakers of the Wise Walls of Sar. I really like the story, and I mean, like I said, it's a very difficult choice for all of us to go on, and all the documentaries are like a 1 to 2 points away. The reason this particular movie stick around over above all the other characters are, there are a lot of young people made this movie, which is really good, and the narration was really done well, and the cause and effect of this entire movie is a very good at the ending too. So I really liked it, and I hope you all can watch it and let us know how you feel about this movie.
But why don't you tell us a little bit about the movie also?
Yeah, about the movie.
Yeah.
So the movie is Wise Walls of Sar is about these young people. I mean, if you look into India, not only India, all over the world. Let's think about that. The reason I like that very much too, there are ghost towns everywhere. I mean, ghost towns is not really having a ghost or something too, but it's about the people abandoning because the industry was gone, or the people decide to move on to the nearest city or something too. So this Sar is one of the places which is completely abandoned, and there used to be like some families used to live 30 years ago, and there is like only like 8 or 10 families are living right now. So these young people decided to go to this town and find all the houses which were once inhabited by the people, and they understand how the people are, and draw the murals at the top of every house, So it's like a collage of all the stories of this entire town. You can see it like everybody's their story is depicted on the wall. And as an outsider, when you go there, you can watch this entire town, and every person and every mural represents a person who used to live there. So it is done really well. I mean, it's the reason I like it very much is because they have the real people, the real villagers used to be there, and they're very natural. Like Nikita was telling about earlier too. Some of them are not the actors. I mean, documentaries is a good thing. Doesn't have to be an actor, but they has to keep the audience sit on their seat and watch it. And these people has done really well, and the stories are very powerful. And I think even the government of that state has recognized their effort of the filmmakers, and they want to do more of those kind of a towns. So, which is a very good cause, and it is not a great cause in terms of saving humanity or anything, but it's a very good cause of the people who used to live there. It's a very, I like the entire background of that. This entire.
Thank you. Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you so much. That's a great description of the film. So we actually have special mention in this category too, and I'll turn it over to Nikita to announce the special mention.
The special mention for documentaries is The Lost Art of Seasoning.
Yay! I'm sure Kirit, you would like to share some thoughts, some feelings there.
Okay. I thought the Lost Art of Seasoning was really well done. I'm particularly fascinated with the Northeast culture anyway. I think it's very scenic and it's very beautiful. The setting is, the environment is very beautiful and scenic. But also the fact that it has a very distinct culture, which is not particularly the traditional Indian cow belt or the mainland culture. It's different from there. And I particularly I love the cinematography. I love the editing. I love the rhythm. I love the overall flow of the film. I thought it was very nice and very engaging. And it was very intriguing for me as well, because the whole process of creating the salt, I thought was very interesting. And I'm glad that Dhanji and team decided to give a special mention to the film. I think it truly deserves it. It's a very good film, and wish you all the best in the onward journey to the other festivals as well. It's a worthy film. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that film deserves it, really. Yeah. So with that, we go over the shorts and the ultra shorts. And Kirit, can I request you to do the honors of announcing the winners in those two categories, and then I'll do the audience choice, and then we can wrap it up right after that.
Okay, so for the short film, we have, let me just see my envelope. Pick it out. Do we have Team Shikandi here? So Shikandi is the winner, and
wow.
Congratulations. Again, Shikandi, wonderful film, a wonderful form. Again, juxtaposition with a ballad, with a certain lyrical, poetic form, which is set in a certain era, and then juxtapositioning it with contemporary times, and talking about a historical context and how the narrative has actually changed in the new context. So I thought it was very relevant, because from a perspective that it is a mirror to our existing society also in that sense, because by the way, the film was shot beautifully, and it was very well crafted as well, and the performances and the compositions and the form of it was really, really beautiful, very creative. But purely from a perspective, there was a comment on the society as well, because you had a certain historical context, a certain mythological context rather, and then you have the juxtaposition of what is actually happening right now. So somewhere a country that was far more tolerant and far more inclusive and far more all-encompassing, somewhere we've become a bit parochial and a bit exclusive, and we have a lot of dogma and a lot of traditionalism has actually taken over eroded many of our rich traditions and our inclusiveness and our tolerance. And somehow this film reflects that particular aspect of it. I thought it was a very relevant theme and a very relevant way of putting it across. It was really nice. So
I wanted to share.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I wanted to share a thought. And this is a film that was made years ago in the 50s. It's a Telugu film. Telugu films were renowned for their mythological, dramas. And there's a film called Nartanasala. Nartanasala, in the Shikhandi story, Drupad, King Drupad's kingdom is where all this happens. And King Drupad had this dance area called Nartanasala. And there, the great N.T. Ramarao and S.V. Rangarao, So N.T. Ramarao plays Shikhandi in that movie. And by then, N.T. Ramarao was already well known, like a A-list star. But he decided, he said, I'm going to play this role where it's half man, half woman, meaning like a transgender role. And he pulls it off amazingly well. And if you get a chance, I'm sure there'll be subtitles, but you should definitely watch that film. Okay, it's a great film. Okay, sorry, I just wanted to, share that thought.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful to see that kind of rich mythological scriptures that are part of our culture. And I think all we need to do is embrace them. And, we are a very tolerant society by nature, but, somehow dogma and tradition has, vitiated a lot of things of late. I think a lot of it is foreign influences as well. So, but traditionally, we're very inclusive.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, shall we do that to shots?
Yeah. So, ultra shots. Although I'll do the announcement because I have not seen the film. I think Renata, if she can make the announcement as well, would you think that would be more appropriate? I can make the announcement.
You want me to do that, or else?
Yeah.
You mean,
Okay.
You go ahead.
Go ahead, Pradeep.
Oh, okay. The short films all the short films in the list is really good. Like Sumit was saying earlier, Toby was really good too. But the winner of this film they maintained a perfect pandemic rule, 6 feet separation rule, and yet they won this award here too. So the winner goes to Balcony. That's the movie is going to be win this one. And congratulations to the team of Balcony. They really maintained a long separation, the neighbors up and down, upstairs and downstairs, but it's done really well. Good emotions. And we all enjoyed this movie, I have to say, I think, on this one.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
The ring of the sound bittu keeps on ringing in my ears all the time while I'm watching the movie.
Yeah.
It's so sweet.
Yeah. Great,
Yeah.
great. So we are end of the coming up on the hour almost, but we'll take a few more minutes to complete our session. So I just wanted to announce the Audience Choice Awards. The Audience Choice Awards are decided based on the poll that we have for every single film. Every single film on the right top corner, there's a little button and you click on it. It's one single question which says, did you like the film? And yes or no, that's it. And whoever, each film got yeses, some films got some no's. So we tabulated all that and we arrived at which film won the audience choice based on the poll in each category. So I'm going to announce those all. So I'm so happy to say this, that in the feature film category, Tufan Mail broke the barrier. They several hundred votes they got. I'm not revealing data, but several hundred votes. That's what I can say. So I'm very happy for that. I love the film. In the documentaries category, Boomchu, the eternal life, the drops of eternal life. Abanti Sinha's film,
Nice.
made the audience choice. So Abanti is very passionate about her filmmaking, and it's great that now with that, the features and documentaries, we have women filmmakers winning the Audience Choice Awards. In the shorts category, also a woman filmmaker won, and that's Marham. So Marham won the Audience Choice Award. It's a great film, by the way. I mean, I'm thinking Ayushi will go places at some point, you know. Very good. And the ultra shorts category, School Bell won. I think
Nice.
Christian, you really like that film.
Yep.
So School Bell got the maximum number of votes. So those were the winners in the Audience Choice Award categories. We're putting together a press release that will go out and with all the filmmaker names and everything that we'll put together.